I'm petrified.
Who are you?
Ghosts of smugglers and terrified investigators. 24 hours at the Mermaid Inn.
What's just happened?
Hello and welcome to Most Haunted. This beautiful cobbled street is situated in the old town of Rye in East Sussex. Now, it's home to the very famous Mermaid Inn. Now, it's famous for two reasons. One, its history, and two, its ghosts.
The Mermaid Inn was built in the 11th century and has a colourful history. With its crooked, dark, twisting corridors, 5 haunted bedrooms and secret passageways, it's difficult not to be taken back in time to the days when the notorious Hawkshurst smugglers reigned terror in the village of Rye.
There are at least 8 ghosts here that staff members and guests have encountered. By spending 24 hours here, will the Most Haunted team encounter any of them? Now, Jason Carl, our parapsychologist, is joining us as usual. Jason, tell us a little bit about haunted objects.
Well, they're particularly relevant to here because there's supposedly haunted objects in the Mermaid Inn. Haunted objects themselves are where either the object itself is haunted or the object moves. Now, an object obviously is different to a human being. It's never been sentient, so it's a little bit of a controversial subject even in ghost lore. But the idea is that an object itself becomes impregnated with a human aura. The bioelectric energy field that all humans have is impregnated into a physical object. Then when a psychic touches that physical object, they can pick up on the aura of somebody who's been connected to it. That's the theory. Now, within the Mermaid Inn, there's one of the bedrooms upstairs, a rocking chair. Now, many people who've stayed in the room have actually awoken during the night and heard and seen the rocking chair moving of its own accord. So you could describe that as a haunted chair, if you will. Now, sometimes a ghost has been seen in the chair as it's rocking, other times just the chair on its own, and so much so that several years ago they actually had to take the chair completely out of the inn because it was upsetting so many people.
But we've brought it back in, haven't we, for tonight?
We have. Put it in the same room, put it back in situ, and we'll see if the ghost returns to be rocking during the evening.
Now, what about the 2 chairs? There's a good luck chair and a bad luck chair, aren't there?
Yeah.
Tell us the story about that.
Well, this is a nice story, and it is just a story. I was talking to Judith, who owns the inn now, and she told me that when she took over the inn 8-10 years ago, these 2 chairs were already here. They were part of the building. One of them looks like a goat's head, and it's got feet on it as if goats' hooves. Now, goats as a symbol are associated with satanic worship. The chair itself probably is nothing to do with satanic worship, but because of its symbolism, it's been called the bad luck chair, and anyone who sits in it is supposed to have bad luck. Now, there's also a good luck chair, which is not connected to the chair, it's just completely separate. That's the good chair, the goat is the bad chair. There's one story, I mean, I was talking earlier on about this, and we couldn't perhaps come up with too many instances of bad luck occurring, but there is one. There was a school group who came here, as they often do, and were being shown around. They were shown the good luck chair and the bad chair, and one girl who sat in the bad luck chair went out and broke her leg. And they associated this with the chair. Now, if she hadn't sat in the chair, she probably would have broken her leg anyway, but because she sat in the chair, they made that association with the 2 things. It's probably just a coincidence.
But what I can't understand is, why do people want to take a chance anyway?
It's fun, it's a risk.
What will our usual team make of the Mermaid Inn and its ghosts? Will our spiritualist medium, Derek Akora, who knows nothing about our location, unravel the mysteries of this traditional inn?
When we first bought the hotel, we went through a stage where we had to man the place by ourselves, and it was very scary, being the only knowing that you were the only person in the entire building. Over the years, it always seems to be the same 5 rooms in the hotel that people seem to have seen or felt something in, which to my mind is a bit strange considering we have 31 rooms. It's not written anywhere, and people all do seem to see the same things in the same 5 rooms. The weirdest one I ever came across was I came on duty one morning and there was a couple fast asleep in the lounge on the couch, and they refused to go back upstairs to the room because, again, they'd seen a figure walk through one wall out of another. We had to bring all their belongings down, and they actually got changed in the public lavatory. They refused to go back upstairs, they were so scared. Before we actually bought the hotel, there was a barman who was slightly dubious about, well, he did believe in ghosts, I think, but one of the stories was that obviously the dueling couple back in room 16, the body was thrown down the secret passage, and the secret passage comes out in the bar, and he was stoking the fire one day and all the bottles came off the shelf, and he actually just left his bow tie and left. You know, we never saw him again. Walking along the corridors and believing that there's someone ahead of me, and when you open the door there's no one there, and several of us here have had the same thing. Until I physically see something, I'll always be a bit dubious, but it's the fact that the people who do say they've seen things are so normal. Your first reaction is to check the bill, have they been drinking, or there's something strange about them, but they do seem so normal. I would say the majority of people stay here just because they love the building. I don't think people come back if they feel something horrible. It's something different, people looking for something different.
This chair has been seen moving on its own so many times, but who's rocking it? Well, it could be the ghost of the young girl that used to work here in the 1700s. It's said that she was once in love with a smuggler but was killed by his accomplices, so she didn't give any of their secrets away. But now the chambermaids that work here refuse to come in on their own. They only work in this room in pairs. Can you imagine being fast asleep in this bed only to wake up and find the ghost of a man in old-fashioned clothes sitting at the foot of your bed? Well, that's exactly what happened to a guest in this particular room. She was so terrified that she actually dragged the mattress off this bed and pulled it through into the other room and refused to come out until the morning. A psychic and her friend were spending the night in this room. Oddly enough, the friend woke up in the middle of the night to discover two men dressed in doublet and hose having a duel. The victor then dragged his opponent's body and threw it down the secret stairwell. Oddly enough, the psychic never awoke.
What we're just doing here is setting up a small temperature monitoring device. Not only will this monitor the temperature, but also the humidity in the room. I'm in the Elizabethan room and I'm just setting up a camera to watch these flowers which have moved off this chair in the past. I'm in the Kingsmill suite where this rocking chair has been seen rocking of its own accord, so I'm setting up a camera to watch that throughout the night, and also an electromagnetic field meter which will measure any unusual fluctuations.
So with all our equipment set up and ready to go, and the arrival of our medium Derek Okora, we were nearly ready to start our investigation. We decided to have a quick chat before the long night ahead.
There's not a horrible feel to this place at all. It's absolutely beautiful.
It's
really
nice now, but it
lovely.
wasn't.
Don't listen, you. Shush. Derek should just sit in the corner and not say anything at all.
I mean, if anyone ever asks, they say, "Are you haunted?" I usually say only in October.
Why?
Well, that's, I think, when most people have said they've seen something.
In
and also
October?
you've got Halloween as
So
well.
it's Halloween,
so.
yeah. Well, statistically, that's the most sort of potent time for ghost sightings. That's when
Why?
but then you've got Halloween, so people expect to see things. So people are looking for things and maybe explaining experiences being paranormal, which perhaps in July or August they wouldn't think are ghosts. It's because it's near Halloween, it's dark, leaves are on the ground, it's spooky, it's here, you've got winds blowing. So that might be all it is. Nothing necessarily to do with the paranormal.
Well, my beliefs on this sort of thing happening, you know, as you both talked about October, you know, close to Halloween, is because spirits are conscious people who are still conscious, still out of the physical body. Okay, and the spirits, no exception here, because there's a number of them. I would say that some of them, possibly with their personality traits, they've thought, right, okay, it's expected of us. It's near Halloween, so let's do it. Let's, you know, haunt the place. Let's either show ourselves or make feelings and what have you in certain rooms. Because there's 1, 2, 3. It's like activity in 3 rooms. Activity. And, you know, I would say that, yeah, you've got spirits here. That's what I feel. Who maybe 2 out of the 3 are really, really, if they want to be, quite showmanshipy.
Obviously, this is your business, this is your living, and you own half of the building. What would you say to somebody who said ghost tourism makes money?
Yes.
And, you know, it is helpful to have an attraction to the building. other than it's a beautiful building?
I don't think that's something we've ever had to do. I mean, the majority of people that stay here, it's either their honeymoon night or an anniversary. It does tend to be special occasions. And it does seem to be people who stay time after time. I mean, we don't advertise anywhere, so people, I mean, for Christmas, I think this year we've got a couple coming back. It'll be their 43rd year in a row coming back for Christmas.
Gosh.
And people come back for their anniversary year after year after year, always have the same room. That sort of idea.
Going back to this, you were talking about Halloween and ghosts supposedly knowing that it's a sort of the sort of witching time, as it were. How do ghosts know about time? Do they not? If they're if they're on the other side, is there not such a thing as time?
But there's still, if we're talking about an active spirit in a property, a beautiful property like this, there's no time in the true world of spirit. There's no clock watching. But if they're in our atmosphere or ether, they can understand. They can see clocks. They can understand the movement of a clock going from 12 right the way around. So, yes, whilst they're in our ether, they can see. But the spirits that dwell truly in the realms of spirit, that have gone away from this atmosphere, no, they're not in a time zone.
As I understand it as well from working with other mediums, spirits are aware of seasons and seasonal changes, so they're able to identify with our time sphere through the seasons.
Very so, yeah.
Would
Very
you
so.
like to know, you're not sure whether this is a haunted place or not, but if you definitely knew that it was haunted, would you want rid of the spirits here, or would you like to keep them?
No, I mean, it must be part and parcel to being here in the first place. I want the place to stay as it is as much as humanly possible.
Well, I don't know, I just think, isn't it, spirits that are supposed to stay in a building, aren't they trapped? Aren't we supposed to do something to help them to
I always assume something had happened to someone.
Okay.
Committed suicide or something terrible
yes,
to be trapped.
I mean, Jason and I, we've talked at length over this, over different types of spirits, why they're actually in the atmosphere. One could have lost their life through suicide. One could have lost their life through being murdered. I mean, there's been murder here.
Do you know something? And are you thinking, but as a medium as well, don't you ever get fed up of, like, spirits supposedly coming in and wanting to have a chat with you? What if you're in the shower or if you're in bed at night? Don't you think, for goodness sake, just leave me alone?
No, they can be quite considerate, actually, of that, in the sense of the spirits visiting you in your home are generally people that have gone before you anyway, i.e. parents, grandparents, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles. So you don't really mind if they come visit. But when we go to our toiletries and things like that, they don't infringe.
Because I've often thought that, you're sitting on the toilet doing a private thing there, and someone could be looking at, or you're with, you're having a bit of a loving moment.
No, they show their own respect in that sense. They don't do that.
We've never had any complaints on that.
No, they do.
Well, you've got your honeymoon suite here. Is that one of the places where people
Read
might
visitors'
experience
book,
Oh no, I've often thought about that.
Yeah.
What about, it's a change of subject, but what about witches?
Oh, yes.
Because I always feel lucky in this room because you've got the witches' ball in the corner.
I noticed your witch ball, yes.
To bring luck to the room,
ball,
isn't it?
yeah.
I always understood that if a witch walked past the window and put an evil spell on the room, that would reflect it back on the witch, so it should bring good luck to the room.
We're talking about two levels maybe of witchcraft. One the lighter side, one the darker side. The darker side is not really to be treated lightly.
Witchcraft is all to do with intent. I mean, the label white witch is a commercial term for witches who make a living out of selling spells, potions, whatever. But witchcraft itself, it's all to do with the intent. Whether it's something is bad to one person may not be bad to another.
Yeah.
But it's interesting you've got the witch ball there because they actually link to divination, and that's how crystal balls began, because witches used to use witch balls to read the future, and that's how it got into the crystal ball. And it's also actually, interestingly, how Christmas baubles on Christmas trees, they derive from witch balls.
Really?
It's bringing good luck to people.
That's it,
That's fascinating.
We were all keen to get started with the investigation. Derek took us to bedroom 18, where no reported ghost sightings have occurred, which took us by surprise.
Right. The first impressions is that I'm aware of a young woman's presence here in this room, and I seem to be drawn over towards this fireplace here, and I feel often, although she's not actually standing here at the moment, her energy, residual anyway, and she is a spirit of it that is actually resident here. And I feel like a kindred soul, and I want to go way back in time with this female, only a young lady. And you know, because of her love for a particular man, she lost her life. Now, I feel there was a group of males, and these males felt threatened, I feel, by her. I don't know why, whether she was going to speak. She wasn't speaking. They took it all wrong. And, you know, they took her life from her. Annie. Bertels. Her life was taken from... Who? Yes. There was a group. There was 14 of them. 14 smugglers.
Gosh.
14 smugglers. She loved Cater.
Cater?
It sounded like Cater. Cater. It was on the orders of Thomas Kingsmill. The orders of Thomas Kingsmill to do this horrible deed. Do you hear those guns? Did you hear 2 guns then?
No.
Okay. That's residual. Okay. It's a young lady, a young maid. A maid.
Is it somebody different from the woman you were talking about before, or the same person?
I feel this could be the same person. Because I saw a young lady downstairs, the way she was dressed, and she's not actually standing here, but I feel this is one of the same people. She walks through. A little party trick, she walks through the door.
Right.
She walks through the door. She doesn't open the door, she just walks through.
Just walks through.
So, and she's very, she comes back here, she must be somewhere else, walking round. But this, I feel, is very strong with her energy here. Very strong.
Wow. Should we move on?
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Yeah, fine, thank you. Sheesh.
Derek often refers to Sam. He's Derek's spirit guide who passes on messages from souls who have moved over to the other side. We were led into bedroom 16, where 2 ghosts have been seen fighting.
Now, here, I get, there's 2 men fight here. It's in this area. I feel as if, there's something to do with the floor. He killed him, and he went down. There's a trap in the floor. He dropped his body into a dungeon, a hole. This is it. Take it off, Sam. There it is. Oh.
What?
If you look in there.
What's in there?
He put the sword in his chest. The final blow.
Did they put them down that shaft?
I feel it's in this area. Who? Sorry, just get me a breath. They all come here. They all come here.
Do you want to come out, Derek? Come on out, sweetheart.
Yeah, okay.
Even though Derek seemed a little overwhelmed by the presence of the ghost of a man who'd been murdered by the smugglers, he was very keen to take us to room 17. Remember, he has had no prior information about the inn or the rocking chair, but he was drawn to it straight away.
There's about an elderly lady and a child. That says here. A lady sits here and she connects with a man she says is her man. And And she said George, and then she said Gray. And she's George Gray's woman.
What's her name?
What's your name, love? It's Beth. 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 I feel that's short for Elizabeth, but she called herself Beth. This child was an illegitimate child to a person who was part of a gang, and my inclinations on this is to say that the child was fathered by George.
Do you have any idea what time period or year we're talking about?
Wow, well done. I feel probably leading 16th into 17th century. And yet, I want to go back, you know, and say these conditions from the foundations of this building go back to 13, is it 13 or 1400, Sam? The 13th century.
The foundations, you mean, not the building?
No, the foundations. But there's a connection between the foundations of its true building of the 1300s and built up in some manner again in the 14th century. And it's changed so many times. It's changed so many times. There's been families live here for quite a lot of years. And it was then changed. And we come to another layer of residual energy. And it's like an inn. And then it lay dormant, and all that was left here for a number of years was the residual energy and these spirit people walking around in this building that was empty of physical beings. And then a burst, a sunburst of physical energy again, which the spirit people were pleased to see. There's a tunnel here. There's a tunnel. And there's the stairs that go down to the tunnels. There's a cellar. There's a cellar that is connected to this building that goes way back, way back to the beginnings of its first structure.
Should we move on?
Shall we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Derek was compelled to return to the room where on many occasions guests had seen ghostly duelists fighting to the death.
Now, as we come back in, from the energies that were linked here before and what I was being given and what I was picking up, then I'm getting, again, like another two men. And whereas I saw the swords earlier and the fighting, this time, the reason why they brought me back in here is if I look out of these windows and go outside to these cobbles, that these two duelists, they were shooting at each other. That's where I had the bangs earlier on.
Oh, yeah.
Boom. And they definitely were smugglers. And they were shooting at each other.
What sort of time period are they if they're smuggling?
I know the smuggling, the biggest amount of it was big casks of rum. Casks of rum. I suppose, and a lot of other things, but it seems that they give me, you see, these people who were involved in this, a gang, and the name Hawksworth or Hawksmith gang, this was the big group that had, it's like as if they had everyone frightened. It's like if you come forward into this modern day and age, excuse the word, you know, you had the notorious people on the, called the Cray twins, where they the feelings they give me is that they were just in some way, in the sense that they looked after everyone and give people things, so that the people around look to them as being like knights in shining armour. They look after us. And yet, they would, on the other hand, they'd sit and downstairs, not up here, in their group, round the table, and they'd drink the beer, the liquor, and they'd always have to... I'm seeing them, you know, here, just in this bedroom, and I'm up here. I'm seeing them sitting at a big table, and they've got the guns, and they're there on the table of it, and they're on the ready. So if anyone that walks in, and they look the wrong way, or they look suspicious, those guns are up, and they have no hesitation in shooting. So they had the kindness about them, and they had this evil part about them. But the evil part was in protection of what they were doing. So they had this, not just this dwelling here, but the surrounding area, a lot of people for them. But I feel it was born out of fear.
Right.
Fear. So muskets and swords, they were used in abundance here. Absolutely. I keep wanting to fall down, and this has been so strong. I've never had this before in an investigation. This constant perspiring.
No, I've never seen you so
Because
hot.
the mixture, it's not so warm, but the mixture of energy here is so much trying to disguise itself, and this causing this thing here in my body heat. And it's because I feel the secrecy up at this level of dropping, killing a person and dropping the person to a lower level. The only way I can describe it, like I was getting before, like a dungeon. And a passageway is like a tunnel.
Well, let's move. Do you
Yeah.
think if you?
But I've got, yes, I've
finished
just,
here?
I had to go. But you see, outside, I feel on those cobbles, as Sam showed me a picture of two men, okay, and who were duelling, okay, but the energy's come back into here as well.
Gosh.
And I don't know why. I don't know why.
It's fascinating, isn't it? Wow. Don't get me sleeping.
We had one more room to visit in our walk around the Mermaid Inn, and this was room 5, one of the most haunted in the hotel. A lady in white is reported to walk the room. Could Derek tell us who she was?
Now, I don't know what the connection is, but again, I'm getting, and it's not an individual person actually here with us in the spirit body, but Sam keeps on mentioning a man that has got very, very, very strong links. And we talked a little bit earlier about the lady sitting here in the chair. And she most definitely is walking these hallways, these stairs, but she sent us to one particular bedroom. And she was the, in our day and age we call girlfriend or boyfriend, the girlfriend of a man that she loved very dearly, but his cohorts felt threatened by her and they did away with her.
Right.
For no real reason, because she was innocent in actual fact. And I feel that's why she stayed in this atmosphere. And she's not altogether happy. And I wouldn't blame her, because she can recall why her life was taken.
Right.
She can recall it very. She's more really a spirit present here than any of them.
Right.
Absolutely. And I would really be shocked, surprised, put the two together, if her presence. I feel what she tries to do in actual fact is she tries to draw attention, not to frighten people, tries to draw attention by the manner in which she manifests and shows herself. So Sam says that she would have been seen many times by people in the physical here, and she'd walk through the door
Right.
in her ethereal body,
Okay.
just to make people
see her.
Yeah, and she'd walk through it, she'd go back through it.
Well, I think it's a good time now to turn all the lights off.
Turn them off?
I think.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
While Derek had a short break, we switched our cameras to night vision mode. Jason had already decided to stay in room 5, where he wanted to set up a motion detector.
Well, basically, this is one of the most haunted rooms, allegedly, in the building, so I thought it would be a good place to set up one of our experiments. What we've got here is a basic laser device. It's a bit like a burglar alarm in your house, and it's simply a laser beam going from this device to that one, and if something crosses the beam that we can't see, it will create an audio alarm like this. And that sound's coming from this device, so we can keep this with us wherever we are in the inn. And the reason I've set it up here in particular is that this room is one of the rooms where ghosts have been reported, and the main sighting here is that of a lady in white, that's been seen walking from this door and the corridor behind me across the room and past the 2 beds here. She stops at one of the beds, stares at the occupant, and then moves across towards the door. So if she's going to appear tonight, hopefully this device will catch her.
When Jason was satisfied with the setup of his laser beam experiment, he joined Derek and myself with our night vision cameras in the cold and claustrophobic cellars.
This section of the cellar, just absolutely takes me back to... The only way I can put it is to say it's the building, the original building. This goes back to then. Way back.
To the earlier part of the building.
To the earlier part of the building. This ground here, on what have you, those steps, that's what it was earlier on. There was the steps coming down, and this section was part of that slip for the dungeon, for that man.
Which man?
There was a man that was killed by the sword, and this was the area in which he was thrust down into.
Where was he taken to?
Well, he was taken away from the building. I can't get the precise... I feel it would have been taken away by horseback, actually. For definite. Carriage, horseback. Now, these cellars have got to be combined in some connection with the tunnel and tunnelling that Sam was trying to give me earlier. Very strong. If you look to the floor here, this is the original stones that the foundations were built through.
Oh, God.
Sorry, it's okay, forgive me. It's okay. Yeah. There was a man who was killed, and he was killed by the group, or people killed him, and his name was Chater. Chater. And his body was down here for a period of time. Chater. And he was part of a gang.
Why was his body down here?
I just feel as if he was brought here until they got rid of his body. But it's like as if Chater had done something disloyal to the gang. I feel Chater must have killed another, and in turn his life was taken from him as well.
We moved upstairs, sitting quietly investigating bedroom 16 where the 2 duelists had been seen. We were suddenly shocked as a locked door swung open.
Oh my God! It's the wind.
No, it's not.
What's just happened?
No, it's not.
What's just happened?
It's a man. You should get him, he's there.
Where?
He's there.
Now bear in mind we made sure the door was closed properly. If you listen carefully, you can hear the latch opening. And no matter how strong, a breeze could not have unlocked and opened the door.
Who are you? Who are you? You're Chater. He's Chater. He's the one that was murdered. Chater. This man is a mixed bag of tricks. I can feel it with him.
Is he still there?
Yeah, he's there. Very strong. Don't worry, he's not going to, and he can't I don't feel he wants to harm. He just wants to let us know that he's here. He's gone through the doorway now.
Over here?
Yeah.
God, it's pitch black. I can't see a thing.
Yes, okay.
Up the
Just
corridor?
making his way, yes.
There's 2 doors. There's this one that we were in before, which is the one with the rocking chair.
Yes, he went this to the right.
Hold on. No.
No, I can't see him now. Where's he gone? It's something to do with this here, Jason, Yvette. See this wall here?
Yeah.
I feel as if like he goes through whatever that leads to.
Is he gone now?
Well, his energy's, I feel as if he's gone that way, through and down. You know, he was like, his body that was shown to me was a strong looking bull of a man, you know? And all that facial hair. And here, I don't know what the markings were, but he had all kinds of scarring to
I
his
wish
face.
we could see what you could see. I mean,
So do I.
I know that if I saw anything, I'd absolutely...
I'd love to see it.
I don't know if it means anything, but over here I've been hot ever since we started shooting today, and I'm actually quite cold over here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
When you mentioned about the guy coming through the door,
Yeah.
a sensational chill and my body just started to tingle.
See, it's an amazing thing, you know, talking about the heat. My body heat, since and even before starting the investigation, was like going through the roof. Now this is very irregular, and it's got to be down to the cross section of the way it is active, and you know the differences.
This rocking chair
Yes.
likes to rock on its own. We know that.
That's the way I wanted to see it, rocking, and no doubt it's the woman you see who's doing this.
Keeping a careful watch on the chair for an hour, some of us were relieved that the rocking chair didn't move, others were disappointed. It was time for some of us to retire to bed. My room, funnily enough, was room 5, one of the most haunted rooms in the hotel, where reports of a white lady have been seen walking past the bed. Would the motion detector pick anything up? Jason and Carl, the producer, decided to check on some of the equipment set up earlier and keep a vigil on the other bedrooms.
It's nearly 4 o'clock in the morning now. We've just heard a noise here. So we're just checking the temperature to see if there's any fluctuations. No, it's gone down, but not very much. That's normal. Should we sit here for a minute? Is that enough light to film?
Yeah.
If there's any presence, spirit, ghost, or entity here who wishes to communicate with myself or Carl, give me a sign that you can follow what I'm saying and that you want to communicate with me. Sorry. That just rattled that.
That rattled. That was not. That wasn't wind.
Up and down. Thank you for the sign. I'm sorry I jumped.
You jumped. I can't believe we are still, after this, going to spend a night on our own in one of these rooms.
It's okay. So now, thank you for giving me a sign. I appreciate that. Apologise for our reaction. Did you hear that?
Yes.
Did you hear that?
Yes. There's something out there.
Did you hear that?
There is something out there. I think there's something outside the door that's contemplating coming in. I'm scared. I'm absolutely scared. Are you scared?
Yeah.
Because I'm absolutely...
I'm excited as well.
I'm petrified.
Meanwhile, back in my room, all was still and quiet, and I secretly hoped it would remain that way.
I've never been that scared. It's never. I mean, even the things that have happened to us on this, Almost Haunted, it's just indescribable. I mean, if I was on my own, I would have left What? Can I show you something on this?
Yeah, I'll keep recording you.
Do keep recording. Wow.
That was weird, different, wasn't it? Sort of changed shape.
That is a that's.
Didn't that change shape?
Yeah, that
Am
was
I imagining
nice.
it?
No.
Yeah, it did.
Yes. Where are you going?
I'm just trying to get a better shot of here. Yeah, I just got it again, Carl.
Same thing.
No, different. How do you feel, Carl?
I'm starting to get scared again. In a way, I'm glad because I thought it had gone because I was feeling all right, but now I'm starting to feel scared again after seeing that.
I was scared about 10 minutes ago. I was quite scared, and I was jumping, but it was making me laugh as well because it was funny. But sort of that's where I react when I get scared. But I'm really excited now because nothing much happened sort of earlier on in the evening, but now in the last sort of 25 minutes, loads of different bits have happened. We've just looked back on the tapes and we've caught something which may be an orb, but it looks a bit different, looks a bit more exciting, and we both heard the noises and we asked for a sign and we got that rattle. Now, it's windy, we've been sat here for an hour probably in the different areas now. We know what the doors sound like when they're rattling, and that wasn't the same noise.
Carl and Jason had managed to stay in the rooms, even though at times they were scared. They had managed to catch noises and orbs. While I was sleeping in a haunted room with locked-off cameras and a motion detector, nothing seemed to have been caught on camera. Or had there? Nothing had happened for an hour and a half, and then for 18 seconds there seemed to be some movement. Was there something crossing or hovering over the beam? Either way, it didn't set the alarm off. Whether you believe in the paranormal or not, there is definitely some kind of unexplainable movement.
Well, last night was scary. I was scared. We had a few things happen. Some of them are unexplained at the moment. We'll have to look at the tapes a bit more closely. But there were odd things happening. I was scared, Carl was scared. But having said that, it was fun, and that's what I think it's about.
A young lady that appeared to be a maid at some time going back, who unfortunately, because of her love for a particular man, the gang feared that she was going to let the cat out of the bag, so to speak, about the gang's movement, and they grouped together and just literally murdered her. That was sad.
The wind and the rain and the weather conditions are statistically more conducive to ghosts. We know that from other investigations over the last 10 years, and that was what the weather was like last night.
She will naturally find her way out of this atmosphere, this ether, into the true light of the spiritual realm. But like a lot of spirits that dwell in different places all over the world, they have this feeling that maybe the love that was taken away from them could possibly come back into the atmosphere. And I feel that's what's kept her here.
With the strange lights, the rattling door, and some kind of movement in one of the most haunted bedrooms, are the ghosts of the infamous Hawkhurst smugglers still roaming the corridors and haunting the Mermaid Inn? What do you think?
If the story's true about the woman and she likes to stand at the bottom of the bed and have a good old butchers at you, I don't care what you say, I don't care what you think or any of you think, but I am not sleeping in this bed on my own. I'm scared.
Why are you scared?
Sometimes maybe you just don't... I just don't want to sleep in the bed on my own. What if I roll over and there's something there?